Thanks so much, everybody who came out for this session. I'm really excited because we're going to go back over the 4 personality styles, your work personality styles, how to use them with potential clients. And then we're going to dive into those personality styles with 2 of our advisors who took the PSIU test last week, and we're going to do a live analysis for them. All right, so let's get going. For anybody who was here, oh, here we go. For anybody who was here last week, we were talking about, it's all about personality. So this is a kind of an advanced hack on working with people. And this is now understanding yourself and understanding yourself so well that you can take your natural tendencies into a meeting, into a potential client online, and be able to assess who that potential client is and start to cater yourself, your marketing, your advertising, your outreach to them specifically. And it takes a lot of energy. So don't be overwhelmed if we're covering a lot of stuff, because this is pretty deep. This is like what I spend most of my career on. And so just as a quick recap from last week, we had 4 personality styles, PSIU: producer, stabilizer, unifier, innovator. All right. So if you want to think about it, each one, the producer is kind of like your hard driving sales guy. Your stabilizer is systems, processes, maybe your accountants, your lawyers, your bureaucrats. Unifier, that's your people person, often found in education, in healthcare, in coaching, like myself. And then you have your innovators. That's our Jeremiah's is the best example of an innovator that I've ever seen, because he's just an ideas guy. He sees what's coming in the future, and he gets excited, and he's results oriented. There are so many personality profilers out there, and I find a lot of them can be used for different applications. This one is most specific to work. So this is maybe your leadership style, your management style, how you show up in the workplace, and how you work with others, and how to work with other styles. Cool. Okay. So now cool. What I put together for you guys, and this is, I know this is like a little bit text heavy, but I'm going to unpack this information here, is how to take these 4 styles and how to work with a potential client who you have assessed is that style. And then, so on the first line, I have, how do you find out who they are? So if we have a producer, they're going to talk fast, they're going to be energetic, they're going to be quick moving, they're going to be to the point. And one of the most important things for you to do, if you sense that they might be a producer, is to start mimicking them. So it's like, be energetic, follow their energy, be quick, to the point. If you want to sell them, then focus more on urgency, focus on targets, reaching goals, reaching their goals. So asking them what their goal is, because producers are often very goal and target oriented. And then one of the best things you can do to keep and for them to love you is to work hard and get back to them quickly. So if you want to lose a producer as a client, then don't respond to his email or her email for 48 or 72 hours. If you want them to love you and say, oh my goodness, they are on it, respond to them quickly, get right back to them, send them the details, send them the information, and frame things as a win. This is how you're going to win. This is what we're going to do for you.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I can speak to that as a, as a producer. A producer, mentality is somebody, imagine that they have an imaginary list in their head, and they are always trying to get the list crossed off. And let me let you in on a secret. The list never ends. Because, and here's why they're amazing clients, because once you get them in, then let them know about the other things you do and say, hey, we really did a great job. You absolutely smashed it with your decision on reducing your taxes in retirement. But as a business owner, there's 3 things you're not doing that if you were doing, you could just absolutely get that down to 0.
Yeah.
Would that be interesting to you? And you're going to see the producer be like, what are the 3 things? 3 things to add to my list? Yes. Tell me what those 3 things are.
Yeah, so well said. With producers, you don't need to bombard them with information and with details. They really, I think at their core, just want to move forward. So the first step is going to be attracting them. And then once you have them, it's like reeling in, I don't know, a salmon. It's like reel it in as quickly as you can. Like don't let it off the hook. As opposed to a stabilizer. So just picture the stabilizer almost at the opposite end of the spectrum. Loves rules, structure, process. They're a little bit more cautious, more factual, and highly organized. So what you're going to want to do with the stablers is give them lots of line. So give them time. Don't be surprised if they will not, and I would say this is rare, if they're a true, very strong stabilizer, if they ask you for more information, if they ask you for what the process is, what the steps are for information, now you know that you probably have a stabilizer in your hands, and they're going to need more time to commit. And give them that. The worst thing you can do for a stabilizer is to push them and rush them because they're going to start to distrust you. So you need to build that trust with your organization and with your structure. So if you don't have a process in place, an client onboarding process, if you don't have that a task list for them, then put those together if this is your target client. And one way to tell if they're your target is look at probably most of the clients in your book and just go through and assess, okay, who talks really fast, who gets really energetic, who always talks about their family. So look at what they focus on and what their needs have been surrounded by and what they've communicated to you. And that's going to give you your clues. So I would look at who you appeal to the most and then start to target your system and your process and your communication towards them. So the more information, facts, references that you can provide a stabilizer, the more they will trust you. And they need to trust you to move forward. The producer, they just need enough. They probably need to like you and want to work with you more, whereas the stabilizer cares more about your reputation, trust, and that you're organized. You have it together. All right, you want to continue on? Any thoughts, Jeremiah?
I really want to get to the advisors because I think once we show our two wonderful volunteers, once we profiles, I think a lot of this will start to click off. But let's keep going. Let's keep going because we got two more here.
So that is Jeremiah is an innovator producer. That is that innovator producer like in action. He's like, what's the next thing? How do we move forward? Okay, so the innovator.
I didn't know I was being psych profiled in front of thousands of people.
That's just your style showing up. It's so valuable. So now we have innovators. Okay, big picture. Ideas machines. Often they're your founders, they're your startup guys because they're creative, they're excitable, they know how to get things off the ground and see coming trends. Talk to them about opportunities. What's the latest thing? What's the best thing? How are you different? And then talk to them about their vision to get them stoked. Okay, what are you trying to achieve? All right, that's how you rope in the innovator. And last of all least, the unifier. If they're talking about their family, their friends, the people around them, maybe they start asking about you and your life and your family. Now you have a people person, you have a unifier because they're socially focused. They're also very flexible, which is really nice. So once they like you and understand that you care about them, then they're going to be really flexible. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, I can meet this week. Yeah, you can cancel this appointment. That's okay. So relate to others, relate to their loved ones when you are talking to them. And it's really important with the unifiers that you listen and you get to know them and show that you care because they are social and people oriented. If they get a sense that you're out for yourself or they get skeptical, then you'll probably lose them.
So Eve, let's do a quick integration session. This is a lot of information. And normally when you and I work with people, like I'll have you guys know that, I've flown Eve into some of our best clients. These are clients that are paying, $20,000 a month for my time. And I bring in Eve and have them go through a whole process that takes, well over a month for them to know themselves and then work with each other And one client that we did this with, it was so powerful that within a 8-month window of doing that, they were acquired by another firm for, you know, an excess of 9 figures.
Yeah.
And
And now
it's
this is
Mhm.
like advanced, basically advanced people and communication at its core is, okay, I understand now who I am and how I operate. And now I also understand how my counterpart operates. So now it is up to you, because now you've been elevated to like mastery, right? To communication and interaction mastery. Now it's up to you. Sadly, the responsibility is in your hands to work with that person, knowing what you know. It's not unlike trying to work with or train a child, sadly, because you're catering what you say and what you do very purposefully, as much as you can. That's the
Yeah.
other thing, is as much as you can. You can only be on and super on so much.
Yeah. And that's where the power of a team comes in,
Yeah.
right? Like Advisors has gone through a big evolution in the last 12 months through this thinking and this type of analysis and inner work that we've done individually as a team. And things are running on, like Tisha, I love this expression Tisha says, who's our chief revenue officer. She goes, she's like, this thing has got to run on cylinders. And I love that expression because it tells us like things are, it's like this is a machine and it's running on all cylinders and things are smooth. So for example, if you have an assistant or you have another advisor you work with and you know your personality strengths, now you can be like, whoa, that producer guy, we're gonna lose this guy because he's working with me. And I'm stressed out working with him. He's probably hating me because I don't get stuff. So, you know, Tom or, you know, Sally, can you take this guy? Because you're his guy, you're his gal, right? So understanding that helps you guys also to see whether you're ready to become that chameleon or be like, you know what, I got something embedded here. Let me just give it to this person and I can have less stress in my life and really get back those 100 days a year, you know, stress-free. So that's great. Do you think we're ready to bring up our special guest here, Eve? I know they're waiting in the wings very patiently, very quietly.
I think so. Yeah.
We want to get to know you guys just a little bit first. Dave, tell us a little bit about you told me a little bit about an awesome win of the week for you. And then could you just share what is the significance of simplify? Because I think I love the process of simplification. Can you just kind of share that? And then we'll go over to you, Nate.
Glad to. For me, I have been an educator, a teacher, a pastor all of my adult life. Okay, I've been in ministry for more than 30 years. And I keep finding that all my clients, all my students, all my parishioners want to complicate everything. They don't want anything to be easy. And so I have specifically focused on simplify as my overall theme. In fact, I'm focusing my business now down to one main area, and that is infinite banking. So what I'm explaining to folks is I don't sell life insurance at all. All I do is teach you how to buy life insurance and then connect you with the insurance company that can help meet your needs the most. So it's simplified that process. One of the things, Jeremiah, that I heard just this week from Carmen and Darius, Carmen said, you know, what is a savings account? And simply, it is a life insurance policy. You are self-insuring your future with your savings account. So the question is, how's that going? and from there, it's an easy transition into it. So yeah.
So thank you so much for that, Dave, and thanks for sharing a little bit of background. Nate, tell us a little bit about what you specialize in, and you told us you had a win this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me today. So my win this morning was that I was helping a client transition from, I'm in the state of Minnesota to Tennessee, and just helping them with that transition will amount to probably multi-millions coming in over the next probably a couple weeks to a month, new assets for me. So that was a very good win, and just enjoying the time with them. And one of the things that I love about this client so much is that they know what they want, and then once they hear that, they know what they're going to be doing and the process behind it. So they're kind of fast paced, they're ready for taking the action, and once they get all the details down like that.
Very cool. So I wonder what kind of client that was for you. And getting a client with multiple millions, the fees and the commissions on that goes a long way in Minnesota, doesn't it? Where you got things are pretty affordable, right?
Well, affordable is not necessarily something I would call Minnesota compared to other states, but it's definitely something that compared to some of the East Coast, yes, East and West Coast, it is definitely more affordable in that manner. But it's so nice to have those clients, and so nice to be going through, talking through the process with them, but then having them make those decisions that are going to keep us moving forward as well.
Beautiful. Well, we're really grateful you guys. You guys are, Advisors Max members. You are part of Shift Nation. You've been attending the power hours for I don't know how long. And I know, Dave, already about you. You're enrolled in our YouTube accelerator, where we teach you how to build an appointment engine with Carmen and Darius Britt. So thank you guys. We're really grateful to you from the whole team here at Advisors. So at this point, Eve, what are we going to be looking at? Like, what is this thing you're going to bring on the screen, and why is it so important for advisors to know?
Okay, so we've got Nate's profile first. And I will also say that I'm not affiliated with this in any way. It's just no different than DISC or Myers-Briggs. It's just one that I've chosen that's been heavily researched. So I'll just let you guys know that this is, I just love it. So this is what your profile is going to look like in the page 1. And this is Nate's. So what we're going to get 3 lines. And this is another reason why I like this one so much, is it tells you how you are. So how you show up. And then it tells you how you want to be, and then how others want you to be. So I call these 2 pressure points. So this is where you're feeling pressure, both internally, how you want to be. So something maybe you're telling yourself that you need to be. Thank you. And how others want you to be, external pressure. So if you did this for an employee, the how others want you to be is where you're going to find out, okay, where are they feeling a lot of pressure from your company or for you or from your organization. So let's focus on how you are. So this is how you naturally show up. And we'll see down at the bottom, a big score is 48, or max score is 48, a big is 43. So one thing I will say is this is on a spectrum, because nothing's black and white, especially when you're looking at personality profiling and psychology. So a big style is over 43. So one thing you're going to want to take into account is how strong the style is, because the stronger it is, the stronger that force is going to be. All right. So we have Nate showing up as a pretty big producer, right? So that is your strongest. So that force is going to come out the most for you. That's going to be your default. Right? It's not going to overtake everything because it's not massive strong, but that is where you are, where you have your biggest strength and probably get the most energy. And your innovation style is second, and it's not too far behind. So these 2, I wouldn't be surprised if you're a guy who's pretty creative, likes finding creative solutions and problem solving, and especially doing those for your clients and your customers, and then driving and moving forward, pushing the ball down the field, crossing those tasks off the list.
That's spot on. I definitely like to be innovating, trying new ideas, but the phrase that I always love is the ready, fire, aim. And that just embodies my life in that standpoint.
Yeah. That's a perfect way to sum up the producer innovator combo. And then we have the stabilizer in you is pretty good. So we know that you're pretty organized on the back end. You're not obsessive over it. And then we have the unifier, which is kind of your people person. It's like, okay, your social side of things, your team building, maybe could use a little bit of work. One thing that I really like to see here, which is great, is that if we look down here, is that you're actually very much in alignment with what you're doing what you want to be doing, and who you are. So oftentimes I see, and this is a lot in companies and leaders, is that you'll have a really strong pressure on kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. So let's say you're a producer, you're naturally showing up as a producer. That's how you have come to move throughout your workday and get things done. But let's say you're working for a company or working with a client who really, really, really wants you to slow down. And they're kind of like, it would feel like you have this force that's dragging you slower. And that would show up in the how others want you to be here under the stabilizer. And it's nice because we don't see that. So what is really fantastic for this is that it offers a chance to see if there's any pressure anywhere. So if anything, how you want to be, you just want to be more producer, get things done, move faster. So that's showing up very big for you, as well as innovator, find a creative solution, and which makes sense given the environment that we're in. It's a highly adaptable, highly change-oriented environment right now. And it's by the sounds of it, you're thriving and probably enjoying that.
Absolutely, I am. Yes. And I even started my own RIA just because of that innovation side, so I could do the things that I wanted.
Yeah. Awesome. Do you have any insights that you learned from this, or anything, any aha moments that you want to share?
I guess the biggest aha moment was how closely aligned the innovator and the producer were. I knew as a producer, I knew I had that as a characteristic, but just how high that innovator piece was. And going back now, I can actually look at it and see that, yes, there are a lot of times that I love to have that creative side. I'd love to flow with that and then have that lead into the producer, and how I can now be fast paced to make that happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a huge proponent of understanding your style and then leaning into that style, because it's already there. It's your natural tendency. Where these come from, there's a wide variety of places, but probably in your work life, as you've gone throughout your career, these two elements have just been reinforced more. You've had to tune into them more, you've had to tap into them more, and you haven't necessarily had to tap into the stabilizer unifier. So it doesn't mean that you were born that way. It just means that that's probably more or less throughout your career how you've been come to do business and found success.
Absolutely. I definitely say that.
Yeah. Awesome.
I want to
Okay.
throw one comment in there as well. Is did you notice how Nate, did you notice how your eyes lit up when you talked about your client, that when they see something and they know it, they want to do it?
Yeah.
Like I saw that, but who do you think your client was?
Oh, absolutely, a producer. And that's why I loved working with her, is because I don't have to explain 10 times. She knows what she wants and she goes for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of a story. I was the first piece of real estate I bought. I was in my 20s and I was doing like no money down real estate back in early 2000. And the realtor who found the distressed property for me was exactly like me, producer, innovator, let's go, bang, bang, bang. But the attorney at the closing table was so stabilizer to the max that she had the closing documents on the table and she was reading out loud every single clause and making sure I understood it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, just show me where that yellow, those 16 yellow things where I'm supposed to sign, just do that because I'm out of here. Like, yeah, whatever. So, I was his ideal client. I was not her ideal client. But that's so awesome to see that dynamic come through there. Wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And here it is. Here's a producer in a nutshell. So enjoys completing tasks. Personal workspace is not necessarily cluttered or busy, but communication style, energetic, fast, to the point, addressing problems, working harder, getting other people to work harder. Like it's the ultimate push through. We're making this happen. This is fantastic for Nate because it's also making things happen, but finding a creative solution for that. Right?
I would definitely say so.
That. Yeah. Yeah. So the downfall of this that you need to watch out for, and this is if you're working with a producer or you have one who you as an employee, is that sometimes they can work so fast that they will make errors, right? and again, Nate, that's not saying that you, but that's the risk. So there's always a give and take. So that's the thing that you have to watch out for if you're a producer. Okay, do I have a process in here that will prevent me from making some errors? Because sometimes I get so excited and I move forward so fast that I mess up.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the reasons why my admin and I work so well together, is because she's a stabilizer. So she kind of tries to pull out some of the things that I'm doing and make that much more tangible for her.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good to hear, because that's a partnership that will set you up for success. Yeah.
Absolutely. I definitely say so.
Awesome. Okay. So let's move on to Dave. Dave, who do we got? We are a big innovator and also a strong unifier, which does make sense. Yeah. If you're a pastor, huge people person, eh? Yeah. Coach, mentor. Yeah. Creative ideas, problem solving. I love the simplify. That's probably a big part of that. And you were also, I was very happy to see, which doesn't give a ton of work for me to do with you, is you were also very much in alignment. You're in a place you want to be. You're in a place that others want you to be. And you're in a place that you are happy with, and that is your strength, as far as I can tell, as far as this looks, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's accurate. Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
So if you feel like, if you ever feel like you're in a position or in a place where you're misaligned, and you kind of, it's this internal or external pressure, then this test is a good one to take, because it can draw out maybe where that's coming from. Is that something that you're telling yourself, which is how you want to be? Are you saying, I should be more, or maybe you value that more, and then, or how others want you to be, if you're working for a client or a company, or it's within your family unit, that they're really saying, oh, I just wish you would slow down. I wish you would just, just focus on the tasks and focus on getting that stuff done. Quit dreaming, quit looking for ideas, quit finding better solutions or better ways to do things, and just get it done.
I actually hear that a lot. My business partner is a very high producer stabilizer. So you can imagine that when I'm sitting back going, hey, we could do this a little bit better over here, and I get the feedback of, no, we've got a process, just get going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dave, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what you learned here and what you found?
Well, like you said, it is very much accurate as far as I'm concerned, as far as my perception of myself and who I am and what I like to do. I am an innovator and a unifier. And I can tell you are a unifier too. By the way, how's that child doing behind you there today? That's an example of how you work with a unifier. You ask about their family. You ask about what's good with them, and let them talk to you about what's going on. And I've known that for a while. In fact, I used to be an instructor for the Dale Carnegie courses. And so the DISC profile and the profile systems, Myers-Briggs, I'm very familiar with them.
Yeah.
And this profile system, I love it because it applies directly to the organization, the team. They call it organizational physics. And I'm thinking, wow, that's a combination I haven't heard before. And it's true. But as an innovator, one of the things that I have to work on myself is I'm very much susceptible to the bright, shiny new things that come along, and I can get easily distracted. And I have to remember to focus on what I'm already working on until the idea is my own. And then, the gates open, I can run full speed on that. But it's a very, very accurate evaluation of how we are, and in all three of those areas, how we want to be, and how other people want us to be as well.
Yeah.
Very accurate.
Let's look at, we can pull up, here is the innovator in a nutshell. So yeah, as we've learned, spotting new opportunities. They might have maybe more creativity in their house, maybe more uniqueness. They're charismatic, excitable. And yeah, a big complaint is they're not getting it. You don't get it.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the worst things, I was reading through the descriptions that come with the evaluation. And one of the, I'll say bad sides to an innovator is that if they come up with an idea and somebody says, no, we're not going to do that, it won't work. They, and I'm speaking from experience, they get explosive. Why
Yeah.
can't you see what I see?
Yeah.
And they don't take no for an answer like that very well.
Very well said. Nate, did you have any thoughts that you wanted to put in here?
Actually, I've been really enjoying just listening to you and the thought process that you're going through when you put in, looking at everything in detail here to spot opportunities. So I've actually just been taking it all in more so.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I guess, as
awesome.
being part of Shift, one of the things that I'm loving to do is be that producer, see the results from that, but use that to be going into how can I make it better? What's the next step? How can I be improving upon this using my characteristics and what I like to do? And knowing that, I think, is very insightful, so that when I go, and we talked about this, to gaining new clients, ones that are going to be easily approachable based upon my style. And that's what I thrive on, is when someone gets it in the style that I like to obviously present.
Yeah. Yeah. And the stronger, like the producer might be harder to work with those stabilizers and the innovators, or the stabilizers also may have a hard time with innovators as well. So that's a big one for anybody who's a producer or an innovator to watch out for. Okay, how do I work with the stabilizers, and how do I bring them into, whether it's my organization or bring them into my system without driving them crazy? Because you really do need, if it's a company or a team, you really do need a stabilizer in there, because they are something that they have such a great strength of routing and process and systemization, which is critical to elevate your business. And it's that having that administrator, that's a stabilizer, it would be so hard for you to grow and scale what you're doing if you didn't have somebody on the back end saying, okay, how do we put a process in here so it's repeatable, so it's organized, so it's not driving you crazy, so you can continue doing what you do best. I think that's part of the key is, okay, how do I find somebody who can complement my strengths so that I can be elevated? And that's what we're talking about as business owners, or as people working within a team or a unit or a company.
Innovators get very excited about using virtual assistants for that reason. I think it's a great way to share the load so that you don't have to be anything but an innovator. And that's a good freedom to have.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just want to touch on one thing for you, Nate. I did notice you are a Shift client, so thank you so much for that. And the good news for you is that Chris who manages that whole program, is doing an amazing job, and people are getting like so many wins. It's crazy. But Chris and I met yesterday about what is the next evolution of Shift. Because we know we have a lot of producers and innovators who are attracted to that program exactly because it solves the number one problem. Hey, I don't have enough appointments. Boom, we're gonna fix that issue. But then it's like, this is so cool. What else can I do? Right? Like, I'm getting appointments showing up, but how do I get all their emails and automate it now? And how do I follow them everywhere? Like, all that stuff is coming, Nate. So stay tuned for that. And then, for you, Dave, being in the VAE program, Virtual Advisor Appointment Engine with Carmen Darius Britt, we went back and we innovated that program. Tisha is also a super high innovator on my team. So her and I, when we get together and like our mind, it's like this mastermind to the nth power of how to help people and innovate our industry. And there's things we're working on now that you guys will hear about in 6 months, and it's still going to be like 3 years ahead of what the whole industry is doing. But the next evolution of the Brits program, with the Ritz Solaris, the Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter, that was born out of innovation, right? We're like, how can we help these guys just crush it when they show up for YouTube videos? These guys are just amazing.
Right.
So yeah, it's amazing how all the dynamics, come together when you really understand, who you're working with.
Yeah. You can put it to the group. Are there any questions. I did have the other two styles here, but I think we'll see if there's any of the members or anybody online who has a question for us. I could do that while we have a minute.
Yeah, so here's one from Robert. I really like this one. Can you give us some examples of what we would say to uncover the types of people that we desire to work with in our styles? So somebody plops down in front of you, right? Zoom, in person, you're getting to know them, coffee, chat, or whatever. What could we say, Eve?
Yeah, so I would start with, you could kind of almost like have an intro question that rattle off one of each. And then one of them, whatever one they tag on to first, that's who they are. So if you find, oh, how's your family, or how's your, start asking about themselves. If they're like, oh yeah, fine, move on, not a unifier. Right? And then so next question, so what do you have on your list today? You know, what do you want to do on this call? If they really resonate with that, producer. Okay, stabilizer is there. You can talk about a system or what they want to do first. It's like, this is the process. You know, what would you like me to cover first? And they might say, oh, okay. And then they can move forward. And which one? Innovator. What is the vision? What are you trying to accomplish here? You know, what is the big picture? So I would just have those 4 introductory questions. It's probably the quickest way, because you'll need to get them talking to figure out what they are. And you might even figure it out before they've even connected with you in their email communication, how quick they are to respond. If they ask you, if they email you back and ask you even before your appointment and ask you for more information, a process, etc., they're obviously a stabilizer. If they ask you personal questions, oh, great to meet you, I'm so happy, you know, unifier. So looking at their communication, maybe the way that they came across, found you, say it's through a referral, etc., found you online, producer, referral, stabilizer, or unifier. And then, yeah, I would put 4 questions together, and then whichever one they tag first, now you know, oh, okay, this is where I'm moving.